Welcome back to AI for Founders. I'm your host, Ryan Estes, and today's episode is packed with insight, energy, and some serious fresh takes on the future of e-commerce. Not only that, but we talk classic Buffalo Bills. I love it. I'm joined today by brilliant founder of Tonita, the next-gen AI shopping platform that feels more like a conversation with your stylish, all-knowing best friend than a typical online store. Tonita isn't just a search bar, it's shopping assistant that guides you through every decision. It teaches you what to look for and curates products in real time, whether you're hunting for the perfect black sweatpants or Patagonia alternatives for fly fishing. With a background at Google and a deep obsession with fixing the broken UX of online shopping, Siva's building something bold, elegant, and deceptively simple. We talk AI, user behavior, monetization strategy, raising $5 million, and even fake Versace. So buckle up, this one's a gem, but first some business. Let's face it, in today's world, attention is currency. If you're a founder, there's no better way to get attention than by sharing your story on top podcasts in your niche. That's where Kitcaster comes in. Kitcaster is the industry leader in podcast guest booking. We've helped thousands of founders land conversations on the world's most influential podcasts. Whether you're looking to drive traffic, raise funding, or build undeniable authority, we got you. At Kitcaster, it's not just about interviews, it's about relationships and distribution and building a content flywheel that fuels your entire brand. So stop hoping people discover your product. Go tell them the story. Visit kitcaster.com to apply today, and let's get you booked. Kitcaster, podcast guesting done right. That's Kitcaster by Moburst. Okay, everyone loves to talk about vision, the pitch, the funding round, but you know what gets zero love? The actual product build. That magical, terrifying phase where nothing works, the docs are out of date, and you've asked your dev team, how's it going, for the 47th time today on Slack. That's where Code Story comes in. It's a podcast for startup founders who know that building the thing is the thing. Hosted by Noah Labhart, Code Story goes deep with tech leaders who've been through it, shipping real products, surviving messy launches, and figuring out what actually works and when you're on the edge of chaos. If you're building now or ever plan to, you'll want these stories in your earballs. Search Code Story wherever you get your podcasts or visit codestory.co. Because founders talk vision, but builders tell code stories.
Alive tonight, shining stars, computer light. AI, take the flight in the glow of neon bright.
Siva, thank you so much for joining me for the interview.
Thanks so much for having me, Ryan. Wonderful to be here.
Wonderful to meet you as well. Okay, let's just start right into the product and we'll expand from there. So briefly describe what your product does to me like I'm 5 years old.
Okay. Tonita is a shopping search website. So you can go to tonita.co and search. At the moment, we sell clothing and apparel and accessories. So I don't want to assume that you're a 5-year-old, but you can go search for, men's polo shirts, or you can search for sunglasses, or you can search for a nice dress for a cocktail party, or anything that you want. And the AI will guide you through how to pick one of those things, what are the decisions, what are the things you need to think about when buying a pair of sunglasses or a sweater or a cocktail dress. It'll help you make informed, good choices. It'll show you products. It's not just going to talk to you all the time. It's going to show you products. It's a nice interactive way to learn about what you're shopping for and make good informed decisions.
Amazing. This is so cool. And I put in, I'm at tonita.com or .co right now. And I'm putting in what I am in the market for shopping for, which is always black sweatpants. Okay. So I entered in there. It's got preferred gender, preferred fit, specific material. It's going through and kind of just taking kind of my preferences. Right. And then does link to different vendors on the backside?
Yeah, it links to different vendors. You can click on one of the products and you can see the details, or you can actually go to the store and buy one of the products as well. You could do both.
Amazing.
You could ask Tonita to educate you. If you didn't know anything about black sweatpants, which probably doesn't apply to you, but if you didn't, you can always ask, tell me, how do I pick a good pair of black sweatpants? You can take that angle as
brilliant.
well.
And Yeah, this is kind of like a interesting area of AI I'm really interested in, which is basically it's redefining the UI UX of absolutely everything. One common pain point that I have, and probably people share this, is everything has its own app, and then you have to go figure out how every app works, or especially if we're talking about e-commerce, like, okay, where's my shopping cart? How do I filter in every single different one? Whereas this is giving me exactly what I want. It's like, maybe I have a preference of brand, I can enter it, but really what I'm looking for is black sweatpants. Give me everything all at once, and then allow me to like continue through one specific interface.
Exactly. And the interface couldn't be simpler. And that's the most important point, right? You could search with keywords. You could actually talk to it. You could say things like, I'm in the market for a pair of sunglasses. What should I look for, right? Some of us don't even know what to look for. Many people wear sunglasses regularly, routinely. They know what to look for. I'm not one of those people. I have a dinky old pair from 20 years ago that I use for driving occasionally. And recently that broke, so I went to buy sunglasses on Tonita. And because I wasn't sure, I said, educate me. And Tonita told me, here are the things to look for. You can look for the shape of the frame. That's one of the important considerations. You can look at the color, the lens type. You can look at other features. Does it have UV protection, for example? These are some things that I didn't even think to ask. Right? And that's where I think a shopping site like Tonita makes a lot of sense, because oftentimes it's really overwhelming when you're shopping for something that you don't know too well about. And there is just so many choices. And how do you make a mental map of what all the options are? How do you navigate them? How do you browse through them? How do you ask questions? In the middle, you can say, why do I need UV protection? And then, Tonita will tell you, the AI will tell you, you might be going on a hike, long hike on a sunny day. And, if you're in California, for example, there are certain UV rays that hurt you. So it's like talking to a superhuman concierge who knows all the answers to all the questions, like any good AA would. And it's backed by a really large catalog of products. So you're actually not just talking in the abstract, you're actually looking at products as well.
And that's huge too, because a lot of times, if it's not if it's not at Costco and it's not on Amazon, if I strike out there, I don't know where to go shopping.
Right.
So this has given some good options. Now, the genre of AI assisted e-commerce is absolutely wide open, and there's so many places you can go. What I love is this simple sophistication of what your tool does. Yeah. Now, just off the top of my head, I could think of AI being predictive of what I'm going to need. It can say like, okay, we got to start thinking about the fall. Here's some scarves. Yep. Based on what you've searched for, what you purchased in the past, here's some things you might like. Right. There's kind of the predictive nature of AI you could use. There's also the generative fact of like, I could put in a picture and it could show me where I could buy those elements, or like just weave that into like social media and things like that. So as you're thinking about kind of the product roadmap for Tonita, what kind of additions are you planning on bringing to the platform?
All of the above. Maybe you should come be a product manager with us. I think there's a lot of good ideas there. And we've been thinking about this long and hard. And every one of those is actually super, super critical, right? The proactive recommendations of products based on things that you viewed, things that you said in the past, things that you said you liked. For example, you might have said that, hey, I like to shop for sustainable clothing. And that's something that Tonita can remember and show you over a long period of time the right kind of products that match that description. Or if you shop for certain kind of shirts, let's say, and similar ones or related ones come on a sale, and that's a good time to let you know that these are now available. And you'll be the right person to show that to. So the predictive power is absolutely critical. Anticipatory things are super important, and simply allowing the user to express themselves freely, I think is a major part as well.
Agree. Very cool. What's the business model? How are you getting paid?
Not at the moment. So we will be launching paid recommendations, for example, the kind we just talked about, because these are highly super targeted to your taste based on what you search for, what you browsed on Tonita. So paid promotions is the primary way of monetization we're working on.
Why not just take a commission from the retailers? That seems like a pretty easy way to monetize.
It's a reasonable way to do as well. And there are some standard vehicles like affiliate tech linking that would work as well. And we want this to be somewhat clear to users when we are working directly on behalf of the user based on what they've just said, and when we are showing something that we think based on AI that they might like. And this is a line that we're trying to be very clear about. Show that this is a recommendation, it's a paid recommendation based on what you've been browsing, versus here's a mishmash of results. Some of these might be paid links, some of these might be good results for what you've searched. And we don't like to do that mixing without clarity for the user. But that's a reasonable model as well, and we might do some of that down the line as well.
You bet. I just put in heavyweight black t-shirt because I wear those 7 times a day. And some great recommendations too, because it's hard to find a heavyweight black tee that isn't too boxy. Yeah. But there's a great one here from Abbreviated Apparel.
Fantastic.
Amazing.
Fantastic.
So right now you're kind of pre-rev. So a couple of questions. What's a benchmark that you want to begin? Are you looking for numbers of users? Is that a important KPI for you?
Yes.
And then secondly, how are you financing Tonita now pre-rev?
Users, the number of users, the quality of their engagement. I think these are the 2 biggest things that we're focusing on, and that this is what's going to be our focus for the next quarter or 2 at least, because that's where we set the foundation. And as an AI shopping engine, as you know, the use of AI in search is still in its infancy, right? There is just a long way to go. So we are still figuring out what resonates with users, what people really like, how people like to shop. And it differs so much from user to user. And even for the same user, it changes a lot depending on how much they know about something versus how little they know about something. So we're figuring out what are the right ways to help users understand and browse and shop online. And because of this, our first goal really is to grow the user base and get good usage of the product and really understand how users use the product and produce something that delights users. And once we set that foundation, we go for monetization and other type metrics.
100%. How have you guys financed so far?
We are a venture funded startup. We are funded by 3 VCs and a bunch of angels as well. Yeah.
Amazing. How much have you guys raised so far?
We have raised over $5 million, and we've been building busily, and we're probably going to be raising soon later this year.
Fantastic. That's exciting. How big is the team?
The team is very small, still under 10 engineers, or 10 employees, and all of us are engineers still actively building. We do have some design collaborations and others as well to get the product up and moving.
Very cool, Siva. What brought you to this project? What is your history as far as like developing tools and products?
I've never built a product before. I have been at Google for 15 years, where I worked in the research organization, primarily working on algorithms, machine learning, and artificial intelligence. So mostly working on the technology end of it, not so much on the product end of it. So this is a new experience for me. But what really brought me to this is the confluence of maybe 2 things. Right? One is the growth in AI, specifically language and vision AI, right? Because we've seen in the last 15 years, in fact, even well before ChatGPT came on the scene, we've known that language understanding is getting better and better. Computer vision is getting better and better. If you upload a picture of a sweater to Tonita, for example, we can tell you exactly what kind of sweater it is, what kind of pattern it is, etc., etc. But the technology pillars have been getting much better. That's one of the pillars. The other pillar is, as a shopper myself, I buy things all the time, and it's been no end of frustration for me, because to buy a $20 thing, I often open 20 tabs and I'm clicking through each one of them. And as I do each one of these things, totally, right? As I'm doing each one of these things, I'm learning some phrase or some concept that I didn't know before. And I open one more tab because I need to Google what that is and learn about it, and then go back to the tab and say, this is what it is. I'll give you an example. I was looking for a kitchen knife set once, a few years ago, just before founding Tonita. And very soon, as I said, I had some 20, 30 tabs, and I'm looking at multiple sites, all over the place, different interfaces, different ways of searching in each one of them. And somewhere I encountered a phrase that I didn't know before. There's something called a Santoku knife, and I didn't know that thing existed. So now I need to know what it is. And once I knew what it is, I needed one of those things. So I needed the ability to say, I need a kitchen knife set that includes a Santoku knife and also has a tomato knife because we use a lot of tomatoes. So, and there's just no way to say these things. Any website, including Google or Amazon or what have you. And that was the other motivation. So on the one hand, as a technologist working in search and AI for many decades now, I could see where the trajectory of AI and search and shopping was going. And as a user, it is a very personal frustration for me that I'm not able to shop the way I think about things. So I wanted to bring them together, and that's how Tonita came to be.
Amazing. I love it. Especially, it's such a bold and brave move if you're not used to like doing products to dive right into it.
Yeah.
How did you kind of secure meetings for raising that round, and how did you reach out to your network to kind of facilitate and close the round?
Yeah. I reached out quite broadly to a lot of friends across the industry, saying, "Hey, you know me, I'm starting this thing, and connect me to the right set of folks, both from immediate circles and friends of friends, and a lot of them." And one of them connected me with South Park Commons, where I spent about a quarter on their program. It's what they call a -1 to 0 experience. Founders who know that they want to start something, but they don't even know exactly what they want to start. And that was a great experience for me at South Park Commons. And that, again, brought me some other connections as well. And South Park Commons also ended up being our lead investor for the seed round.
Given your expertise, when you were pitching, did anybody say like, "Hey, Siva, you don't want to start a brand? Like, come work for me. Come work on my projects"?
That happens all the time. Happens, before I started, after I started, and to this day, I keep getting those calls very frequently. And some of them are very tempting, of course. But I really think we have something unique here, and I really want to see this shine.
Amazing. Okay, I just threw Tonita a curveball here. Okay. I said I want a Patagonia alternative to fly fishing waders.
Ooh.
These are kind of close.
Okay.
It came back with a price range for me. I said under $200, and it's got the men's Kennebec stockings by LL Bean, $189.
Okay. Does it pass your test?
I passed my test.
Fantastic.
That's amazing. I'm
Fantastic.
gonna keep at it though. I'm trying to break Tonita with some of my requests here.
Please do. We love it. We love it when users do that. Yeah, that's how we learn. That's how we learn what's working and what doesn't work, right? And it's
cool. Now, talk to me about go-to-market and where you found your first users. Where are you looking to grow an audience?
Yeah, we started to create Tonita as a broad product, but we're slowly kind of converging on this idea that we want to find an appeal to users somewhere in the 20 to 40 age range, who value their time and who have good shopping needs across the spectrum. We are not specifically going at one gender or the other. It's a neutral site, works for everyone, because it's clothing and apparel. The spectrum is broad, so we're not going super targeted at women 30 to 34 or anything particular like that. But a fair amount of our outreach through, say, social media promotions and others, paid media and others, are in that range, 20 to 40 users, with some interest in shopping. Again, depending on the exact knobs that various advertising systems allow us to use.
You bet. Now, one thing I like about the product too is it's very open. Now, is there a temptation, considering that like shopping is 90% women, to like skin it in a way that's very feminine or skewing towards certain trends? How do you approach kind of like your entry into the market and kind of like your brand positioning?
Right. That's such a great question, right? On the one hand, if you think about shopping, e-commerce as a whole, it's a humongous market, right? It's a massive, massive market. On the other hand, to go to market, we need to be super focused on delivering a great experience for one segment of it. We've taken a position. Obviously, we've taken a position not to cover all of e-commerce. So certainly, we're not even doing anything beyond retail. And even within retail, we are sticking to clothing and apparel and accessories. Recently, we've added cosmetics to the mix as well. And slowly, we're adding some home goods coming in as well. So we're starting on one corner of the retail e-commerce spectrum around clothing and apparel. And within that, we didn't want to, segment too strongly so that it creates a very skewed brand perception. We try to avoid that very carefully, because we really would like Tonita to be the ultimate shopping destination for everyone. And we chose to go category restricts rather than audience and consumer restrictions.
Amazing. That's got to be a tough decision, right?
It is.
Because,
It is.
Talk about that a little bit more. How'd you come to that conclusion?
We really just didn't want to, pigeonhole ourselves into very narrowly saying that we had lots of ideas there. And for example, we thought about saying, how about let's just go scour the web for all sustainable clothing, which would be reasonable, right? But it's such a small inventory, and it's going to be niche, and it wouldn't even come close to passing what Larry Page would call the toothbrush test, right? It's not something that you use every day. So we need to strike a balance where we can make a reasonably large number of users think about Tonita on a reasonably frequent time scale. So ideally, we would want a very large number of users thinking about Tonita every day or something. But even as far as commerce needs go, the moment we skew too narrowly into something like sustainable clothing or urban women clothing or something very, very niche like that, there is a danger that it's going to be hard for us to learn what works and what doesn't work. And the main reason for that is because we're also simultaneously trying to figure out how AI works for shopping, right? And if we skew the user base too narrowly, we'll only learn from that one set of users, right? And how that particular demographic uses Tonita. And obviously, there's a wide range in how people of different ages and education levels and income and geographic locations and so on use AI. Not everyone uses it in the same way. Younger people tend to be texting all the time. They're much more comfortable texting. So we did some surveys and market analysis, and we found that users under the age of 30, for example, said they would use something like Tonita at a much higher rate than any other use group. Again, that's not surprising. Right? They are this generation, Gen Zs and millennials live on texting platforms of one kind or the other 24/7. So for them, they're sort of AI native in a way that other demographics probably are not. So we wanted to skew in that direction, but not super finely segment it any further.
Fantastic. I love it. Now, I detect a slight accent, which I believe, I'm pretty good with accents. I believe you're from Brooklyn. Is that right?
No, I'm not from Brooklyn.
Just
You got me there. Yeah.
Tell me your story. How did you find yourself in Silicon Valley?
Yeah, I grew up in India, went to college there, and I went to, not to Brooklyn, but to Buffalo, New York for graduate school.
Go Bills.
Go Bills. Still a Bills fan. I was there for 3 of the 4 Super Bowl losses, if you know about them.
I definitely do, man. I love that team too. Thurman Thomas, Bruce Smith.
You and I
Jim
can geek over Bills of the early 90s and talk about John Elway and the Broncos as well. And we can go on. Yeah, absolutely.
This episode is brought to you by MoBurst, the AI-first growth engine trusted by iconic startups like Calm, Robinhood, Reddit, Uber, and Google. MoBurst is a digital full-service mobile-first marketing agency that helps companies to scale and become category leaders. Whether you're finding product market fit or ready to accelerate growth, MoBurst delivers creative, data-driven solutions that help with scale and efficiency and impact. At MoBurst, we're not just guessing what works, we're predicting it. As an AI-first agency, MoBurst uses cutting-edge tools to analyze user behavior, adapt creative in real time, and uncover hidden growth opportunities. The result, marketing that's faster, smarter, and built to convert. From early-stage startups to global brands, we've helped hundreds of companies overcome complex challenges, unlock new audiences, and optimize every metric that matters. At MoBurst, we believe that creative thinking, advanced technology, and data are the core drivers of success at scale. If you're serious about scaling your business with precision and purpose, it's time to talk to MoBurst. Visit moburst.com and let's build something category-defining together.
Absolutely. That was the time I was in Buffalo doing my graduate school. So I did my graduate school, then I worked in computer science research. I was a professor for a few years. Then I worked at IBM Research for a number of years, doing research in the deeper ends of mathematics and computer science. And search started to happen. Internet and search started to happen. And initially, I was studying a whole bunch of mathematical questions related to search. How do you rank search results in better ways than were known at the time? And that got me interested more and more into that part of the internet experience. Around 2005, I went to Google to work there as a research scientist. I worked at Google for a number of years since then. In 2021 is when I left Google to found Tonita. That was the moment when I had this very clear idea that AI was happening. But all along, the journey was fantastic, going from being a researcher in a very obscure field of research that probably no more than 5,000 people in the world care about, to working on something super mainstream like shopping using natural language. That is something potentially everybody would care about. So that transition has been really beautiful and really rewarding as well.
What an incredible career, and the AI hype cycle right now is just at peak levels. Everyone's really excited or really scared, one of the two.
Yeah.
Having gone through kind of the rise of Web 1.0, the dot bomb, Web 2.0, cloud, and now we see the rise of AI. How do you put enthusiasm from what you're seeing in tech broadly in comparison to other kind of bubbles in tech?
It's a fantastic question, and also a loaded question. So obviously there have been multiple cycles of quote unquote hype, but underneath all the hype and drama, we've also had some truly beautiful developments, right? The internet happened. The internet is such an amazing thing that until then communication between humans and other organizations like businesses and others was just so broken, and now it's just so much better. And that was a big gain for connecting all of us together and making new experiences possible. And then the next one came, I think, and obviously that led to the dot-com boom and bust, and people went overboard, I think. Things settled, but the next revolution came with the smartphone, and that took computing to us 24/7, right? Always on. We're constantly checking something or the other. We're connected, hyper connected with other friends and family, and also work, which has got both pluses and minuses, and that took us down a path, and that was real in every imaginable way, right? Because it affects a vast segment of the world's population, because so many I would bet that a significant fraction of the world's population carries a cell phone. May not be 50%, could be 20%, but that's still billions of people. That was a true revolution, not just a hype. Then there were subtler ones like cloud computing. Cloud computing, most average humans on the planet wouldn't know or wouldn't care what cloud computing is, and yet internally within the field, that was such a big enabler. People like me, for example, who have no expertise in, building or spinning up a small data center or whatever it is, couldn't have conceived of doing a startup even 10 years or so ago, right? Because all of that was a big bottleneck. And cloud computing certainly enabled all that. We can just pick our favorite cloud provider, get down to coding, and build and ship a product really quickly. So that was this kind of quiet revolution happening as well. And then there is AI, which I think is probably the biggest of them all. But again, it didn't happen overnight. It was an overnight success, 30 years in the making, right? It's been coming for a long time. And also, it's a very different one qualitatively. By that, I mean this, right? If you look at the 30-year history of the internet until, say, ChatGPT arrived, things were evolutionary. We had a sense for what next year is going to bring us, and the year after that, and the year after that. Right? The one exception was the birth of the internet and maybe the iPhone. iPhone was such a beautiful device that it was a significant quantum jump. And of course, others caught up and things were smoothened again. But AI was truly revolutionary in the sense that we're now interacting with our devices in ways that we couldn't even think about 5 years before AI happened. And we are asking questions. And it goes both ways too, right? One is our computer systems are able to understand us a lot better than any system could do before. Google was getting better and better, but still nowhere near this level of fluency. And in the other direction, our computers are able to tell us things in much more organized manner. It's not like just giving you a link to go see something, but actually condensing a whole amount of knowledge and transmitting to you in a very concise and powerful way. So this one is it's probably the biggest of them all in terms of the revolutionary breakthroughs. Obviously there's a lot of hype in the media and so on, but I think AI has the potential to live up to all that and more actually, because there are things that we're going to see happen in the next decade that are going to be truly transformative.
Incredible. Technology is ubiquitous now, but take me back when you were a kid. Like, there was no way you could have known when Scott Norwood was blowing and breaking the hearts of all the Buffalo Bills fans that computers and technology would be where it is today. How did you get introduced, and what was your early attraction to technology and computing?
I think there was a very precise moment. I think after my 10th grade in high school, there was a summer program. Somebody said, hey, there's this is a small town in India, and somebody said, hey, there's this computer class that somebody's teaching. And, we go there to look at what it is. It's a really tiny little room with one small section of it closed out and air conditioned, because you couldn't even air condition the whole place. It's the tiny little sub room that's air conditioned, and there are like 3 benches for about 10 students to sit. And, I was bored and I said, okay, let me try this thing. And signed up, and, it was a class in BASIC. That entire summer, all I did was learn BASIC programming. And we would get to use this computer maybe about 1 hour every week. So which means that all of the stuff has to happen on paper. It was also the time, because it was high school, I started reading much more widely, and a reasonable bit of fiction, including science fiction. And some of them obviously have, beautiful themes of futuristic. There are, I think, if you go dig up, I'll find some of those where they're talking about AI-like systems as early as in the 80s, right? And so I think that the 2 things came together. This idea of a utopian future where amazing things happen, and that's on the one hand, things that are very hard to even wrap your head around. And on the other hand, there is this 1 hour of basic programming on the Spectrum computer, which was super concrete, as concrete as you can imagine. It was just fun, right? Doing them together. And that, I think, led me to computer science, and then graduate school, Wide Right by Scott Norwood, as you pointed out. That's a phrase that's etched in every Bills fan memory. But yeah, that was the introduction to technology.
Cool. You sure got it right. Okay, when you were a kid, what was your favorite sci-fi franchise? Was it Dune? Was it Star Trek? Was it Star Wars? What were you?
I would
what was
say
your go-to?
Star Trek was the closest. I do have this.
Yeah.
I do have this I think in sci-fi, I think there's a distinction. I think true sci-fi fans will maybe kill me if I say this incorrectly, but there's this thing of a high and low kind of thing. The high ones being so bizarre that they have nothing to do with how the human society or this planet Earth functions. Whereas the low ones are a little bit more like, sort of like our worlds, but with superpowers. I am drawn to the latter. So I like Star Trek. I like Harry Potter, for example. Different kind of fiction, but again, it's kind of grounded in our values and systems, but also there is some magic happening, right? That's the kind of stuff that I love. So, even though Harry Potter is probably not a science fiction franchise, that's probably the one that I love the most. Because to me, and again, this goes back to my love for AI. To me, AI is magic, right? And magic is something that I love seeing.
So true. The best AI products just work like magic, and they spread like wildfire because of it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Are you ready for the lightning round?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Now, before I do, I just tested Tonita again. This time, I wanted to see the guardrails.
Okay.
So, what people might not know about me is that I love fake Versace.
Okay.
I have like 6 pieces of fake Versace, and I rock it much to my kids' chagrin. But I put it in there. I said, okay, I want Versace knockoffs. Find me that. And it said, you know what? I can't find you fakes or any kind of copies, but what I can do is find Versace alternatives in this price range.
Fantastic. That's music to my ears. That's music to my ears. And that's we take a lot of effort to get this right. And again, I'll not say that we're getting it right 100% of the time, but for the most part, I think we want to do the reasonable thing, right? And when a user is looking for Versace knockoffs, they don't mean it in the sense of give me fake bootleg products or whatever. They want something that has the right look and feel, the right style maybe. And
Exactly. Yeah, it doesn't have to say Versace. I just want like black and gold with chains on it and cool plants. Yeah. Maybe like a tiger.
You should get that.
Okay. The lightning round. Let's assume that today Tonita was acquired for $1 billion. What do you do tomorrow?
Ooh. Make us worth $1 billion. Somebody's buying us for $1 billion. We really want to make them succeed in ways that they think, we really got it cheaply. To me, acquisition, the best model is YouTube, right? People said $1 billion or $1.6 billion for YouTube. Now look at it. It's a phenomenon. That's the kind of acquisition we'd like to be, and that's what we'll work toward.
I love it. Now, also, before we continue with the lightning round, I want to tell the listeners to go over to YouTube because we are actually going to get insight from Siva exactly which mistakes to avoid and which mistakes to perhaps are necessary for founders to have a career similar to Siva's. Now, back to the questions. If you could build a $1 million company that does $1 million in 12 months right now, what company would that be?
$1 million in revenue?
Yeah.
I think we'll take Tonita there very soon. That's already there. Yeah.
I love it. If you were in college today, do you feel like Josh Allen should get a second MVP this year? Or even better, what would you study in college?
Let's get this clear. Josh Allen should almost surely get the second MVP and hopefully Super Bowl ring as well. That's what I'm rooting for.
Oh,
but
I'm rooting for it too. It's his year, man. The Chiefs must go down. Period.
They're a fun team to watch as well, but I'm rooting for the Bills all the way. What am I majoring in? I think 30 years of computer science, and I want to do computer science all over again. I'll probably do physics a little bit more seriously because I think quantum computing is something that I've been interested in quite a bit over the last few years. But computer science has so many beautiful questions, touching on not just mathematics and technology and electrical engineering and all that, but also in terms of philosophy and how it connects to humanities and all of that. The field of computer science, the discipline of computer science has evolved so beautifully, I would do it all over again.
As a computer scientist of 30 years, when you think about quantum computing, what are use cases that you're really excited about?
I think scientific use cases like drug discovery, potentially, I think is something that quantum computers might contribute to. the lines are not super clear. Today, the things we know how to use quantum computers for super well are things like breaking today's cryptography. But that's not the part that excites me. Quantum computers, I think, have not been understood in many, many ways. And I think things like searching large search spaces and figuring out things like, here's a new drug that can solve cancer or whatever. I think that's the kind of thing that I believe quantum computers could become useful for. Yeah.
Yeah. Is there a CEO or another founder that you follow closely or are inspired by?
Yeah, quite a few of them. I think I'll say the CEO of Perplexity, is a very, very young person, but the energy with which he's founded the company and has been driving it is obviously very, very impressive. His name is Arvind Srinivas, and that company came out of nowhere and is now one of the hottest startups.
Nice. Was there any particular technique he deployed? Like how did he reach that kind of traction?
I think he'd been thinking about AI, working in AI. And when ChatGPT happened and GPT-3 happened, I think he woke up to the fact that, hey, there's a whole new way to summarize web pages. Now let's put a search engine on top of that and not just give links to web pages, but actually read and summarize them. And that was such a simple, clean idea. And I think because of its unique and clean focus, they've been doing a lot better than one would expect somebody to be doing with competition from Google and ChatGPT as well.
Yeah. Von Miller was recently released to free up cap space. Good or bad?
Okay. I think he's served his role admirably. Still leaves the defensive hole, but I think I'm okay with that. I'll take it.
If you could live in any historical era besides this one or the future, which would it be?
Besides this one or the future, I would say maybe I'm being a bit too myopic here. Maybe I would say the 70s. I was a kid in the 70s. I would have liked to have been an adult in the 70s because I would have seen computer science grow from ground zero.
You're at least the fifth person that has said the 70s. What makes you nostalgic about the 70s? What do you miss?
Because as a computer scientist, every classic thing we learn in computer science happened in the 70s, right? And that would have been and it was still a bit of a niche discipline. It was not like AI where the hype cycle was big. It was still a very focused field of study. And I think I would have really enjoyed being part of that.
Amazing. Wrapping things up here, where can people connect with you online?
LinkedIn. I'm on Twitter as well. Both are good places.
Great. Yeah. It's been so fun to get to know you a little bit, Siva. I encourage everybody to go check out Tonita.co. It's beautiful. It's a very elegant and simple solution, but boy, does it get it right. Pretty incredible. Congratulations.
Thank you so much, Ryan. It was wonderful talking to you about AI, computer science, technology, but also about football and Buffalo Bills.
Hey, go Bills.
Go Bills.
Okay, now let's record the little YouTube segment. Okay. So I'll tee it up for you, be like, hey, here's some mistakes to avoid as a founder. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Do you want us to do a quick preview of that before we record that, or go right in?
Well, it's recording. I can always chop it up. So don't worry about it. It's just a rough take.
Okay. Sounds good.
Cool.
Yeah, go.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm here with Siva from Tonita.co, and he's going to give us a little bit of tips of the trade of mistakes to avoid as a founder. Siva, take it away.
All right. So we founded Tonita a few years ago, and we've been building Tonita out over the past couple of years, and we have a beta version in, and now we're going to go fully live with a new design very soon. Ryan asked this interesting question: what are some of the mistakes that you made that you tell other founders not to make? I think that's an excellent question. So I think the first thing I would do is think through what you want before you raise money. I think building something, prototyping something, sometimes it may be easier to raise money because to get some idea off the ground, you need some money, maybe raise an angel round or a seed round or something. But before you go in and raise the serious capital, get something working. Second mistake I would say I made, or things that I didn't do as well, was went down a few rabbit holes in the early days that I think, in retrospect, I should not have done. Some of that was investing a lot of effort into design before the idea was clear, and that just turned out to be energy and money spent on something that just didn't pay off in the way it could have paid off. So until we had a clearer idea of what it is that we are building, we probably should not have gone down the fine details of every pixel on the screen. So I think that was one mistake that I made that I probably wouldn't make. Make your first hires super carefully. When in doubt, and I think it's a little hard to say this, when in doubt, do not hire the person that you're considering, because I do have certainly some engineers that turned out really great, even though I had some reservations about them. But sometimes look for the right fit and see, can this person, I think the most important question to ask, and I didn't ask at least in one or two cases, was, can this person handle the uncertainty and the ambiguity that often comes with working at a startup? And that's a question that I didn't ask, and I think that probably was well worth asking. And the last one I would say is, when the right time comes, double down on things like design. We launched Tonita in beta with a reasonably minimal design, which is okay. But for a consumer product, it's important that design really shines. And I think that we didn't put enough time and energy into it early on this time. So I did both mistakes there. One was putting too much into it too soon and not putting enough into it when the time was right. I think these are some things that are worth paying attention to.
Siva, really appreciate words of wisdom.
Awesome.
Hey, founders, let me ask you this. Are you building with AI or getting left behind by it? If you're serious about scaling smarter, faster, and bolder, you need to check out aiforfounders.co. It's your go-to resource for cutting through the noise and actually using AI to grow your startup. Each week, AI for Founders drops a sharp, no-fluff newsletter, dives deep with expert guests on the podcast, and hosts monthly workshops where you can get your hands dirty with the real tools and strategies. Whether you're pre-seed or Series B and beyond, launching something new, or just staying sharp, AI for Founders gives you the edge you need to win in 2025 and beyond. Hit aiforfounders.co to subscribe to the newsletter, tune into the podcast, and grab your spot in the next workshop. And it's all free. Build smarter, move faster, think bolder with AI for Founders. Now back to the show.